everybody, it's Geneva, and we are going to create this pretty little Christmas card. It's quick, it's easy. I'm going to use my new Mary die from Memory Box, and it's a nice size die. It's 5 inches wide. Card, scrapbook page. It's large enough to be useful for both. I'm going to use foil tape. I have my Tim Holtz embossing folders for the tattered poinsettia and the poinsettia background. My tattered poinsettia cutting die. I'll be using some iridescent glitter, some red gems, and some Ranger Jenny bowling stick candy green ink. I have a 5x7 card, and as I've said before, I use 5x7 because when I first started scrapbooking, I just bought a gazillion of them, and I gotta use them. I'll use a sheet of 8.5 by 11 white and part of the 8.5 by 11 black, both cardstock. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is the cutting and embossing. I use a big shot. Use whatever you have. These dies work with every machine I know of, but yep. I'm sure I don't know all of them. Let's do the Mary first. This one's a little angle. I take my 8.5 by 11 sheet and just cut it down so it's 8.5 by 5.5, and that is enough for the point to cut the poinsettia and for the back cover, or the background piece. The foil tape is sticky, and you don't have to do this step if you don't want to, but I find it makes working with the tape much easier, and it adheres easier without getting all tangled up and messed up. Okay, so measure about how much I need. Set that aside. And I'm gonna let's see if I have a scrap of white somewhere. I ran the whole sheet, doesn't matter. I obviously did this on a scrap when I created my card and forgot about it. I keep my scraps of my most commonly used, especially my white and my black. taped on. Use all the layers of the base mats here. Just a moment. Now see, this makes a nice negative image. So if you kept the holes from the R and the E, you could make the, cut out the face of a card and use the cut out holes behind to make this look like it was really there perfectly. That would be a fun card to do. Okay, I have a small skewer that I use for this, except this one's all full of glue. So I've got my quilling tool, which has a pointy end on it. This is script, so it will stretch to the tensile strength of whatever you've punched it out on. Back. Can set that aside. See, I can work with this, with the paper on the back of it, without my fingers being stuck to it, without it sticking to itself. And then the paper will adhere to paper much easier with the glue I use. That aside. The next thing I'm going to do is the poinsettia. And I'm going to cut this out for leaves as well. And I found out if I just found out where the edge of this needed to be. Edge was here, and folded it. It gave me enough full-size leaves, so I can just do one cut. One of the middle size, one of the smaller one, a complete, and all but one complete, and this one I'll make the leaves out of. I'm not going to use this piece, so I'm going to throw it out. I'm done with that. emboss my poinsettia. And I take this down to the bare bones. Find where they fit and how they fit. It's always the trickiest part for me. Wow, this is going easy today. Close that down. My top pressure plate on. And run it through. Nicely embossed. Run through the piece that's going to be my leaves. With that embossing folder. Okay, now the next thing is to make the mat for the 5x7 card, and this is obviously not big enough. So here's what I do, and with a repeating pattern you can do this. First thing I do is I want the embossing to run off the page. And up inside. Now you don't have to do it this way. I just do it just to make sure that when this is done, I have at least one edge to one edge that's perfect. I don't have to trim off. You would think this would be easier. Alright. So the first run through is dead simple. And when you do this, you may not get it perfect, but I don't think it matters, especially if you're not going to highlight the embossing. So now I need to find where the pattern matches up so I can do it again. And the clue here is this big poinsettia. So now I'm going to run it through, and I'm going to try to run it just to this point, and this is, you know, educated guesswork at best. It's like there. See, turned out pretty good. Got just a bit of a shadow here, but unless you're looking, you can't really tell. I'll do this one more time. did. So now I have a half a sheet that is totally embossed with this poinsettia background. Okay. Done with this. Okay. I'm going to start building up the card. Okay, so I'm doing 1/4 inch reduction for the mat on this one. So it's 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. The edge doesn't look like it came out straight. God, I hate it when I do that. Okay, so 4 1/2. Do that. 6 1/2. That would have been ugly. 6 1/2. 4 1/2. Oh, that is really unfortunate. Okay. Now I need this one is 3/4 of an inch. It says I cut it. I don't think it's long enough. It's not. Aha! I have another piece. Oh, I am so lucky. If you do it right, you'll have enough from your one 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 embossed sheet to make the whole the card and the overlay. But unfortunately, I cut it crooked. Okay. I'm gonna use the stick candy ink, and use any color you want. I picked this one because it seems to be the lightest in my collection of inks. And just with a very light, almost no pressure hand, you just to highlight the raised embossing. And my whole point is to make these not white, because I'm leaving the poinsettia white. see how the leaves definitely look like leaves. Okay, I'm going to glue my poinsettia together. And yeah, I want the veiny side down. And you know, you get to choose how you put yours together. My goodness. Glue. Oh, there it is. Okay, I use Eileen's Tacky Glue for most of my gluing. The next thing is for the glitter. Here's my pan. Makeup brush, and I smush it around a dryer sheet now and again so the static electricity stays off of it and it cleanly brushes out my pan. Yeah, can I find the brush I want? Left it out, knowing it's the one I want to use, and I did. Okay, I'm going to take this scrap of paper and put some glue on it. So I'm going to brush the glue onto, that's not going to be enough. It's a fairly stiff brush. And I have really no rhyme or reason. I just want to highlight with glitter. I love how this turns out. The glitter I'm using is from Michaels. It's a Recollections brand. They call it Glitz. This doesn't have enough on it. This one. I need some more glue. Now you could certainly have taken an ink pad and highlighted the poinsettia with any color you want. I chose to keep it white. And mostly because of the Silver Mary. If I had done it in colored paper, I may have done the poinsettia in a color. Okay. Now I'm going to do the leaves now. And I do it this way because I do it this way. I like having the leaves all ready to go. And when I use less glitter and glue when I build the poinsettia before I put the glitter on it. Losing my mind. Might as well use that glue up, but I don't need the brush. This is one of my favorite brushes for lots of things. Okay, put the glue out of the way, put the flower out of the way. Let's start building this. This is just an inexpensive microfiber cloth, and I find it works okay for getting the bits of glitter off my tabletop. Rag in my lap. Very messy. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but when you fold your card, the edge that you can grab onto is the front, and it does that naturally when you fold it, and when somebody gets the card it helps them open it. So make it your front. Just a little tiny overlap that really is a good thing. When I do it, I just eyeball the 3 edges that I can see here, and I figure if they're good, the 4th is going to be just fine, and that's usually the truth. Okay, on the embossed paper, I'm going to go clear around the edge instead of just striping it, because the embossed parts like to lift up and do silly things. I like this card to stay nice, at least long enough for the recipient to get it. A little dab in the middle. Again, I do the same thing, just sort of eyeball the three. They look about the same. Oh, Lord. Well, that poinsettia is going to have to make that okay. I'm going to use my 1/4 inch instead of my 1/2 inch. And just run a 1/4 inch. And this ATG tape that I get from tapejungle.com is stickier than the name brand, but it's not so sticky that you can't work with it. So I'm very fond of it. It tends to stay stuck once it's down. I've got projects over 2 years old that are still nicely adhered together. My knife and just trim that little bit off. Where I want that to be. And what I'm going to do is use my grid sheet, my grids on my pad here. This has to fit on here to some degree. Everything but the Y will fit on, and that's okay for the Y to drop down, at least in my mind. Okay, so I'm going to move this up to where the bottom of the black should be, and it gives me this 1 inch space to lay this on. And I kept my edge here at least, you know, one straight edge, since my grid is dots inside of the inch squares. Okay, this is going down with just one strip of 1/2 inch. And there's my 1 inch as a guide. Keep it straight. I am really good at getting things just a little cattywampus. Okay, next thing I want to do is glue down my Mary. And I can't use that, I'll use that for the poinsettia. I'm just putting little dots of glue on here. You could use a glue pen, you know, whatever adhesive you like. You could rake it across the top of a glue stick. I've done that. You just have to be careful that it really is sort of fragile. You know, thin cuts are thin cuts. Gonna very pretty. Okay, now the next thing is to decide where I'm going to put the leaves on here, and it's all a matter of personal taste. Dip this in the glue because I have it here to use. Since I use glitter, it's getting everywhere. Keep it inside the bounds of the card because I do want to put this in an envelope, so that's going to go there. Now the last thing are the stones inside the center. Now I use crystals without, enough of those up. I use crystals without adhesive on the back. I don't trust the adhesive, and it's less expensive to buy this way. Okay, my camera stopped recording while I was putting the crystals on. But here it is, all finished. Nice pretty Christmas card. Didn't take terribly long to make, and it was relatively easy. I'll see you again with another one in a bit.